Hello, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally, and today I want to talk about heartworm disease and heartworm prevention because that's really the question that's more in people's minds. And there's a couple of things that are out there. So there's a lot of folks saying, oh no, if you feed raw food and your dog is in perfect health and you've done everything correctly, your pet will not get heartworms. And after practicing in South Carolina for almost 30 years, I'm here to tell you that that is not necessarily so. I've seen people use heartworm nosodes and their pets end up getting heartworm. And so there's been a whole history, just a whole crazy show about what do you do for heartworms? What do you have to do? Is it really necessary? Why is my vet pushing the pills so much? And do I have to give them every 30 days? And what's up? So there's a couple of things I want you to think about. One is the heartworm life cycle. And the thing that is important here is that it takes mosquitoes, obviously, for heartworms to become implanted or injected into your dog. And the second thing is that it must be above 55 degrees in order for the heartworms to mature in the mosquito. And so if you are in South Carolina and all of a sudden it's January and the mosquito's out, if it has been more than 55 degrees for a couple of weeks, your dog can get heartworm. Now, if it's gone down below freezing and it hasn't been consecutively or consistently above that 55 degree point, then it slows down that maturation process. And the trouble is that we tend to get a little lazy or complacent, and so it's a little bit alarming. Now, the other thing I want you to remember about the heartworm life cycle is this. So as I said, it starts with mosquito. That's where the L3 larvae are, and then they are injected into your dog or cat, although that seems to be happening much less frequently now, and they mature into L4, and then L5, and then finally the adult heartworm. So how does heartworm prevention actually work? And this is where it becomes really critical to understand this so that you can understand the rest of what I'm about to say. And the way heartworm prevention works is that it kills L4, so remember we have the L3, the L4, the L5, and then finally the adults. So that means we've got L1s and L2s that are in the mosquitoes only. So heartworm prevention kills L4 to L3s and maybe some early L5s. And the reason that is important is the way that it works is you give the pill, you give the, whatever it is, the tablet, what have you, and for what it does is kill the L4s and L3s. And what that means is it is not there all month long killing these things. It is backtracking and taking those things out. This is the thing that most people don't understand about heartworm prevention. It is around your pet's body for about 24 to 36 hours. By 36 hours, it's almost completely out of your pet's system. And so what it is backtracking and killing everything that your pet was exposed to the month prior. Now, do you really have to give every 30 days? And there's a lot of evidence out there that says probably not. Even the American Heartworm Society is back to saying, no, probably every 6 weeks is good. So speaking of the American Heartworm Society, I want to show you their website and the incidence maps. And the reason this is important is you can go in and look at it state by state. So the dark colors, the darker the color, the more cases there are, the lighter the color, the fewer cases there are. So if we're out here, here's Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake, so here's the great state of Utah. If we're out here in Utah, Nevada, most of Oregon, good chunk of Washington State, do we really need to give heartworm prevention? Probably not. And again, as I said, if the temperature goes below 55 degrees at night, and many, many evenings out in this area are, 40, 50, the chances of heartworms developing are just really slim. And so what the Heartworm Society is saying is that the reason these pieces of the map are blank is because there aren't veterinary clinics in rural areas. And that would be true, but I'm not sure that it's truly reducing the incidence. So, and Alaska is not on the map, Hawaii is. So here's the other thing that is interesting to me. So they do these things repeatedly every 3 years. And so we've got, let's see if I can back this bad boy up. Yeah, so there's, 2001. So here's 2016, which is the most recent map. And so most of the southeast is red, much of Texas and Louisiana, the Gulf states are red. And then this is the Ohio River coming down, and that's, and then getting into the Mississippi River, and then bam, there's tons of heartworm there. The interesting thing is, and let's see how the map changes as we go along, so there's 2013, pretty much the same picture. And then here's 2010. Isn't this interesting? There's virtually nothing going on there. And so what happened is Katrina came along and stirred up everything, and boom, we had an explosion, right? So here's 2010, here's 2013. Now look at the Northeast here as well. Let's go back to 2010. So much, much lower incidence across the nation. But what happened is we actually exported a lot of stray dogs and dogs that were abandoned from this hurricane hit area up into the Northeast. And this is why we think that a lot of these cases got so much worse up there. But again, there's virtually nothing out in the western states. Again, we exported a lot of heartworm disease out into the west as well. So there's 2007, and so why did it get so much better from 2007 to 2010? And that's a little bit of a mystery. So there's 7, but again, the incidence is much lower. And then 2004, incidence is lower than 7. And then 2001, it's about the same. But that's pretty fascinating to me. So here's 2001, here's 2016. And I think it's, so here's 2010, got significantly worse in 13, again, post-Katrina. And then it's actually improved a little bit going into 16. So the reason I'm showing you this is, if you're in this part of the country, chances are good that you may not need heartworm prevention year-round. And so here is kind of a good rule of thumb. If you are in an area where the incidence is really low, your temperature is dropping below 50 degrees at night, and your pet has really little exposure, maybe it's only going to be 3, 4, 5 months out of the year, if you will, that you need to worry about heartworm prevention. So for instance, with Mona and Pepe, since we've been traveling, we went back to South Carolina for a year ago, October, for about a month in the Southeast. And so we gave heartworm prevention in October, November, and December. And the reason that December dose was so critical, even though we had left that area of infestation by the end of October, is again, remember I told you you got to backtrack 30 days. So if we left October 30th, November 30th would be technically fine to have given it, but I started it around the 5th of October, so that's why that 5th of December dose was important, to make sure that we cleared out everything and got everybody all cleaned up and happy. Now, the other thing is, well, what do you give? There is all sorts of stuff out there. So there's the ProHeart injection that lasts for 6 months. There's the heartworm pills that are combined with flea, and there's all this stuff. Do not give ProHeart. It was taken off the market probably close to 20 years ago now, for a good reason. It was making a lot of dogs really sick. And the deal is that you give it, it's there for 6 months. Probably not, because it really had created some major problems. Now, to me, if you're giving heartworm prevention with a flea pill that's designed to kill adult fleas on your pet's body, I think that's also not a great idea, because you're giving an oral pesticide that's going to stick around for at least 30 days, and that's not a great idea. What I've kind of gotten to, the thing that seems to have the least number of issues is Heartgard or its generics. And that's just plain old ivermectin. You can get Heartgard Plus, which is supposed to take care of intestinal parasites with parental pamoate and all sorts of other stuff. Find a heartworm prevention with the least amount of stuff in it. It's been shown to be at that dose safe for collies and other dogs that have that, I think it's the MDR1 genetic alteration. There are some reports of dogs even, at those doses having issues with it, but the vast majority of those dogs at that appropriate dose of Heartgard or ivermectin rather for preventive seems to be okay. Now, again, what are the natural options? Well, the first thing is repelling mosquitoes. So the idea is that if the mosquito doesn't bite the dog, then less likely for them to get infected, right? And the other thing about cats I'll have to throw out there, we did see heartworm disease in cats for quite some time, and then sometime after 2012, we just stopped seeing it. So the cat is not a natural host for heartworm. But it is possible. So if you live in a heavily endemic area, so all those states with the dark red colors, then you may want to still consider it. And again, for cats, I would consider Heartgard. I would, if you're going to use those preventives, I would use them every 6 weeks. And, once it hits 55 degrees at night or lower, then really, again, after that second, that 30-day dose to make sure you've cleaned up all of the L4s and L3s from the previous month, I think you're good to go for a bit. Now, natural stuff, that's what I was starting to get into. So again, repel mosquitoes, great. There are heartworm nosodes available, and that is a homeopathic preparation that, again, the idea is to get your pet's immune system to kick those buggers out. And there are all sorts of herbal remedies and things of that nature. But I just saw too many dogs get sick, even on all of those things. So use the mosquito repellents, because that's also going to help you keep fleas off. And if you are in an area that has endemic for heartworms, you're also going to have a lot of fleas as well, because they love the same moist, damp heat. So that's pretty much the deal there. So we've got some pretty exciting news. I've got a new label sample for Holistic Total Body Support, which I will show you. We should have this back in stock mid-April, I'm hoping and praying. And then to celebrate Leap Day, we will have a 24-hour 10% off across the board in the store. That's for everything, all the supplements we carry, all the digital products, the original Crock Pet diet, the kidney health program, gut health program, and of course consultations. So that's what I have for you this week. I'll be back with you next week live, and until then, remember, your pet's best health starts in the bowl. I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally. Many thanks.